Hello, and welcome back to the Gayming Podcast Live. I'm your host, Miabyte, and I'm here to join y'all as we dive into all manner of the most curiously captivating queer conversations on the web. As per usual, I cannot do this alone. And today we have a lovely, lovely guest host who is a good personal friend of mine. We have the wonderful Heyshadylady. Woo! You're also muted for some reason.
Oh, I'm muted on my end. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Happy Sunday.
It's a day. It's been a week so far. How have you been?
Look, I feel that. I just had to do like massive troubleshooting yesterday. So just trying to like kick back and relax, have a weekend coming up. And then all of a sudden computer parts stop working. So, that's I love it when that happens. That's the fun part of being a technology person, I guess. The more gadgets you get, the more ways they can mess up on you.
Yeah, my audio stopped working last night, and I was there for ages trying to figure out what the heck just was wrong with it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave this until the morning. And so I was just listening to everything through my speakers until I got into the studio today, and then I realized, I never fixed that audio problem. Uh-oh. I can't hear anything through my actual headset. And then I realized, for some reason, the machine is muted. My cat Mochi must have stepped on the mute button that I have specifically on the keyboard, and just completely wiped out any chance I had of hearing anything. So yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. I love him to death. He's definitely not the bane of my existence. I kind of simultaneously love him and hate him, and I'm hoping tonight he's not going to be screaming in my ear. I've just fed him actually, so hopefully he goes to sleep.
A good boy
for the duration of the podcast. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. And where can people keep up with all the latest news, Ty?
My kitty's going crazy instead. Mochi's going to be good, but Toasty's going to be bad. But yeah, right. I'm Heyshadylady. I'm a variety content creator on a lot of different platforms. I do Twitch tutorials on YouTube. On Twitch, I've actually been obsessed with Final Fantasy XI, much to Mia's chagrin. Been super obsessed with Final Fantasy XI lately. I played that for like 8 weeks straight now, but I think I racked up like almost 500 hours in the last 8 weeks.
Oh my god!
I actually have a problem.
That's a lot of Final Fantasy.
But I've recently added Red Dead 2 to my rotation, and originally I'm mostly a sandbox streamer with cute, kawaii, cozy games that I've modded to be cottagecore style, Minecraft, Stardew Valley, other things like that. But I'm Heyshadylady on everything, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the good stuff,
And you could totally go there, keep up with all of Heyshadylady stuff, or alternatively, if you'd like to keep up with all the gaming news, you can visit all the latest news, all the features. You can get them at Gayming Magazine by going to gaymingmag.com. Now, today is our Valentine's Day special, which means that we need ourselves a super special guest. On this episode, we are joined by none other than Twitch streamer, VA, content creator, and dungeon master, Vana Rama, otherwise known as the lovely Vana. Hello.
Hello. I thought when you said VA, you were spelling half my name and then forgot to spell it.
I was like, VA.
V-A-N-A. Is that how you say it? And yeah, that's exactly what I was doing.
No, my goodness. Hi, hello. You both look lovely. Thank you for having me.
No, you. How has everything been treating you? How's this winter been for you so far?
Wow.
Big question. Not the big question of the podcast, but a big question.
Yeah. Wow. The winter has been a super fun, cool, never bad time. Nothing bad has ever happened to me in my life, actually. So
wow.
Very lucky. Yeah.
That is extremely lucky.
No, I mean, it's, I think as for most people, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but staying grateful for the good days and just doing my best to plow through the bad ones, so.
Totally. I have absolutely been freezing to death this winter. There's it's not been ideal. Like heating bills have been shooting up in the UK, and it's just like Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna freeze tonight, but be okay tomorrow. Maybe let's ration this heat. Let's go.
Oh my gosh, where's the throne wish list? Put that heated blanket on there.
Oh my god, that is such a good idea. I think I've just been
saves me during the winter is a heated blanket. Can't beat it.
Can't trust myself with them though, because if I put in like the bed or anything like that, I'll fall asleep, then just wake up sweating in the middle of the night, being like, "Oh God, this is awful."
I guess you have to choose the lesser of two evils. Then
I know somehow.
Do you want to be freezing or sweating?
Somehow I feel like I thrive with like a chill coming through my room when I'm sleeping. I actually sleep with my window cracked or like half open in the winter.
I think there's some sort of science behind that.
It makes it so hard to get out of bed, though.
Getting to be cozy in bed when it is otherwise cold beyond the bed is a very cozy situation to be in. But you really have to, you really got to mitigate it, I think, and make sure you control as many variables as possible.
My solution for the cold now has been to get the hairdryer, lift up the blanket, just put it on for a little bit, just back and forth, and then just climb inside all toasty.
Me with my little...
Get a heated blanket, you goober.
I know I should. That is the most low rent version.
That's this little space heater that I have under my desk. I've got a little blanket literally as we speak, like over my legs, and I'll just like hold it over the space heater and let it like inside, and then I'll turn it off, and I'm like, I'm set.
Well, that's what they do in Japan, right? With the tables that have the blankets on them, they have a little space heater under there.
I want one of those so bad.
What are those called?
It's like kosetsu or something like that.
I don't know. They're cute as heck, and they look very cozy. Can you imagine just having a little dinner in the winter at one of those? Sounds
I would love that.
So toasty. Yeah. But that's basically what you're doing, hey, the homemade version of that.
And you're all good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Well, we may as well just Kotatsu, thank you. We may as well just dive right in to today's big question. And today's big question is, what is the greatest love story in video games, or love stories? What's your take on the best love stories that you've experienced? I'll kick us off, obviously. Have either of you played Final Fantasy X?
You know, this is a couple I think I was going to bring up.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, really? If you want to,
no, you probably know more than I do, because I didn't end up actually finishing 10. But
you've experienced most of it. You just haven't. I haven't even played the sequel myself.
I am aware of 10, but have I played it myself? No, I have not.
Okay, well, let me set the scene for you. So Final Fantasy 10 features two people who get into a bit of a slow burn relationship. It's this summoner figure who is the daughter of like a really famous summoner. Yuna, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And she basically goes on a pilgrimage in order to stop the big bad called Sin, by visiting all these different like temple locations and getting like blessings from each one, which gives her a new summon every time. It's really, really cool. But she ends up meeting with Titus, or Titus, that's a big debate on however you say it, who is like isekai'd into this world from a different place called Zanarkand, and it's he gets like thrown into the future. And he is a blitzball star, which is kind of like underwater soccer almost. And his father is also like really famous too. So both of these people, both Yuna and Titus, they get to know each other, and then they start to mutually connect over the fact that both of their parents are like really famous people, and the burden that it is being like the children of them and having to live up to those same expectations. Like Titus has a really, really rocky relationship with his father, and he finds out that I'm not going to go into any spoilers since you haven't played it. It's definitely worth playing. But it's really, really cute watching the relationship that develops over time with the two of them. I guess it's kind of like a little bit goofy, especially in the moments with the ha-ha scene. Anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do have an alert. That is the laugh.
Really?
Titus
and you've not played it?
It's one of those things where it's like I've been immersed in video game culture since the beginning of my existence. So I know so much about Final Fantasy and have played so little. Absolutely.
Definitely worth playing. It is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. I feel like, and again, part of that is like the relationship between the two, essentially the main characters, and I feel like their relationship is kind of believable because it's not like they instantly have a spark and they're all over each other. It's kind of like, again, like a slow burn that goes over time. Would you disagree, Ty?
No, I don't disagree. I'm just like, I've been playing Final Fantasy IX recently, and I'm thinking about the romance in Final Fantasy IX instead, which is like a little more, I mean, I guess I like the slow burn. Yeah, don't mind Toasty. I'm sorry.
Your cat just parkour.
This is her normal existence. I don't even notice it anymore. But yeah, she's just going ham bone today. But Final Fantasy X is good. It's got that slow burn, but it's like very like sweet love. Like it's very, you know, and I like a little bit more innocent. I like a little more spice in my life. Mm-hmm. So when we got with Zidane in Final Fantasy IX, what's language protocol on this podcast? Can I say that?
You can swear, but just try not to be too excessive. Are you gonna say he's a fuckboy?
Yes,
he's totally a fuckboy.
That's what everyone in my chat was telling me when I started playing it there. And I was like, I love Zidane so much. Zidane was my favorite character ever. And then he's on the screen for like 10 seconds, and everyone's like, he's a fuckboy, and I'm like,
his head is so big.
Whoa.
Why is his head so big?
Whoa. The art style of Final Fantasy IX.
Why people's heads are so big.
I can't. I just have.
The art style of Final Fantasy IX is so different from a lot of the other Final Fantasy games, and I think that's like a really cool charm about it. Is it's so unique looking compared to the rest of the franchise. But he's I don't know. He's got his little monkey tail. He's got his like cute hair.
He's a tail. I see.
Yes, he's a little sassy, cool little thief guy, and he's just like meets up with the female lead of the game and is immediately like turning the moves on. And it's kind of a little bit of a like it's not even a will they won't they, you know what's going to happen, but it's also she's also just as kind of sassy and like edge up, so there's like a lot of banter. And
what's her name?
Garnet is her name. And I'll leave it at that. So watching the two of them together is like maybe a little more my speed. I want a little more banter and fun and laugh and haha and like, you know, poking each other, sort of a Sundara style kind of. I want a little bit more of that because I like laughing more than I like staring dreamily into the eyes while flower petals float over us. You know, like
like banter, like flirty banter. Yeah, I agree.
I feel like
I will. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Like I said, with that specific relationship, I feel like to me, it's just like him wearing her down over time, though, essentially, because he's such a chaser. He is absolutely like on top of her near constantly since the moment that he met her. It's just like, dude, give it a rest.
Yeah, but she could leave at any point in time. She could not be there. She could not. She's playing along. No, the dynamic.
She could kill him, right?
Say what? She
could probably kill him.
They could probably kill each other.
Yeah.
That adds to it a little bit, you know what
I mean? Oh no, I've unlocked something inside of myself. My goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I can see what you're saying, that he kind of wears her down over time, because she's just, I don't want to spoil any of the game if you haven't played it. But she maybe is kind of stuck with him too. Like this is her opportunity here to go on her journey, but she could go and do anything at any time. And I do think that he's nothing like she's ever experienced. And so there's the charm of that. It almost kind of makes me think of the dynamic. I know this isn't a video game, but it makes me think of the dynamic Entangled a little bit. So it's that kind of like, he's a little sassy banter, like kind of like poking fun at her the whole time, but is definitely like flirty. And she's a little like naive, but is also like doki doki heartbeat. Like it's that kind of dynamic. And I think that's a lot of fun.
It's also made me think of, I know this is not canon, but it is to me, but Jaskier and Geralt.
Oh my god.
Like him just being so annoying all the time and like never leaving him alone. And in my head, like eventually Geralt is just like, you know, shut up, and then like they make out really hard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Throws him against the wall and just the longest passionate kiss that you can imagine.
The dream. I would scream. Oh my
just
God.
To get him to shut up. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like he loves Jaskier, but he also is like deeply annoyed. and like sick of them.
But that's where I love that type of dynamic.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet the other day that said, the sluttiest thing a hero can do is show up at a villain's doorstep, bloodied and bruised, and say, I didn't know where else to go. And whatever that dynamic is.
Yes, absolutely. That's retweet, upvote. Yes. I agree.
Definitely. One that kind of comes out of like left field for me. It's going to sound weird. Have either of you played the new God of War?
No, but I've watched quite a bit of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So like it's the romance there that's not seen. Essentially, that kind of like touches my heart a little bit. That at the beginning of this story, like this is a woman that he loved that much that he's now going to take her ashes to like the highest peak in all of the known realms. And you can just feel that sense of loss that he's going through throughout the entire journey, as well as like there's flashbacks in the second one as well, which gives you like glimpses of their relationship. And it was like, wow, this is a person that managed to transform him from like this rage machine monster from the earlier games into somebody who's like more contained and kind and like loving, so loving of his family and his own son. That it's just like it's really, really very sweet.
That makes me think a little bit of Wanda. WandaVision, Wanda and whatever the guy
Wanda
is.
Maximoff.
She's just a crazy killing machine, but just wants to be like happy and in love.
Yeah.
Oh my God, same.
I think that's what we all want. We're all crazy killing machines who just want to be happy.
A little hug every now and again.
I would love to stop killing and start loving, but nobody will love me, and that's on y'all. So
it's probably because of all the killing, honestly. Like,
well. If you don't deserve me at my mass killing spree, you don't deserve me at my uwu cuddle fort. You know what I'm saying?
Generally, other than that, I was thinking like one that stays with me. I can talk about a bunch of the different ones from Final Fantasy, and we've talked about like 10 because I just wanted to highlight one. But if we're going like Square Enix published games, then I feel like the relationship between Alex and Steph Gringotch in Life is Strange True Colors.
I'm so glad you brought up Life is Strange, because I was thinking that's got like really sweet romances in it the whole time. And sad too. Sweet and sad.
Yeah. I've not played the first one, but with True Colors, again, I don't know, this must be me. I just really like the slow getting to know each other, kind of like a little bit flirtatious, but like kind of being friends at the same time, and just generally over time. You have a choice between two different people that you can go after in True Colors, but if you go for Steph and make specific choices, at the end of the game, it's kind of like a them against the world type scenario, which I personally kind of really love. It's like everybody else here are homophobic assholes, but it's you and me, baby, and we're just gonna like take to the road and like take everything down. Kind of like a Thelma and Louise type deal going on there. But that's only specifically if you make certain choices, though, in that game. So minor spoilers. It's definitely worth jumping in and just seeing how that relationship progresses. And I honestly just love Steph as a character. She is queer, she is a DJ, and she also loves geeky stuff and D&D. So it's like, yes, my poor heart. Any kind of relationship between her and anyone else, I was always going to like completely fall for. So
me, you're kind of ooey gooey and wholesome. Hold on a second.
Me?
Yeah.
Ooey gooey and wholesome?
Yeah.
No,
it's like,
never.
I just want to fall in love slowly over time, and then it's us against the world forever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, punch me in the face and call me stupid.
No, yeah. enemies to lovers.
Enemies to lovers for life.
Overall.
Totally.
Overall.
Totally. So what about games with romance mechanics? Like, what are your favorite games with romance mechanics?
Oh, Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The Fire Emblem games? Okay. What specifically about Three Houses? Like, what's the gist there? How does that work?
The character design.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Before and after the time jump are both delicious. And I think it's got a good mix of like the characters are really hot, but the dating mechanics are very wholesome. So I think maybe we could all be happy with them because like the dating mechanics are essentially you give them gifts that they really like and then you can take them on tea parties.
Oh my God,
and the tea party mechanic is so funny because you just have to based on like their personality and interests, you have to carry the conversation in the way that they would most enjoy. And if you do it wrong, the date just like ends. And they're just like, no, I'm good. I really don't want to keep talking to you. But if you get all the ones right, you know, you get like a full date in, a full tea party in, and you get some, you get more like bonus points for that. But I don't know. It's not even like necessarily that it's like good mechanics as much as like those games are so character rich. And just, I think you just, you know, at least for me, I just really fall in love with the characters, and then being able to have my character be actually in love with their characters, like that's some wish fulfillment, you know.
I know in certain Fire Emblem games you can have kids as well. Do you have kids in this one?
Not that I'm aware of. I've only played Three Houses, and then I just recently started Engage.
Oh, so. Yes. Yeah, I played the very, very beginning of that. I definitely need to give it
It's
more
good,
time.
yeah.
Totally.
And the DLC is just dropped at the last direct, so.
Ooh. I think I definitely, I have to highlight like Mass Effect and Dragon Age in terms of like the BioWare series of games, considering that you can have like a relationship that develops over like 3 separate games and just pick any of your crewmates to go after. Within reason, obviously they were like a little bit like you can't date a certain person or have like queer relationships in the first one with specific people. But that obviously changed over time, and I got my date with Garrus Varkarian on the Citadel. So
the number of Garrison fans could fill like the Atlantic Ocean, I swear to God.
I just love how like sometimes he's like seems so embarrassed over the whole thing, because obviously there's a difference there. He's Turian and you're a human, and obviously that poses its own questions too, and he's just so awkward in public with you. It's like, it's so freaking cute. But in terms of like just repeat playthroughs of that game and just going after all the different people, I think that's done incredibly well.
Yeah, over multiple games. I don't know another series that has done that except BioWare.
What about you, Ty?
I feel
any mechanics that you love, any games that you love for that?
When I was thinking about this topic, I was like, I feel like most of the romance games are like narrative games, where there's cutscenes and you know what I mean. And I really don't play a ton of narrative games. I was reflecting, I was like, what's the romance in Minecraft? Well, you know, I play a lot of solo player sandbox games, or like right now I'm into an MMO, and there's not really romance in that unless it's like with IRL people and it's role play, and that's a whole can of worms. But I have had you know, several thousand hours in Stardew Valley, and a huge.
I knew you were gonna bring this up.
I can't not mention it. There's
absolutely
there's a dating simulator in it. So I played a ton of dating simulators in my life, but I don't really, when I think of like romance, I don't think of dating simulators. You know what I mean? I don't know why.
That's what I said to Mia earlier. For some strange reason,
it doesn't come to my head. Yeah. But with Stardew Valley, one of the things that I really loved about the game when it was first released, because I grew up on the Harvest Moon series, and a big point of Harvest Moon was get married in the game and have children in the game. And when Stardew came out, it was the first time I'd ever seen a farming simulator game that had same-sex options. And I thought that was really cool. So there's, you know, what, a dozen or so bachelors and bachelorettes to choose from. And as that game came out, I feel like that was like a game changer for the genre, because there's been so many that have evolved on that take to having gender neutral player characters now with gender neutral options. What is the game? Wildflowers comes to mind right now. It's a newer one that just came out. That's like witchy, kind of Harvest Moon style. So you're a witch that moves in with her grandmother and you find out you're a witch through that and join the coven. But there's also dating simulator, farming simulator.
It's honestly amazing.
Character though, you can't.
It is a set character, and that's the one downfall or like negative to it. But but it's also an indie company, so. You know, so is Stardew, but that's the thing about Stardew is all of the different characters and all the different romance options, and there's all these I love the give them gifts. So it's Mia's little slow burn here. Give them gifts over time, and they'll eventually warm up to you, and then you get cutscenes, and the 10 heart event dates that you get to go on really like make or break. Like, oh yeah, this is, they took me on a hot air balloon ride. Okay, hold on a second, and then this one's just like, I've rescued them from their drunken stupor, and it's like, not that I can fix them trope, but
but it turns out you can actually. So
I don't know about that.
Isn't that the end of the game? Like he gets sober and
I guess so,
like
but then he's got his dirty footprints all through the house, and he's got my house trashed. Like, I don't know. I was like, I can't do this.
Not the Shane hate.
I'm definitely. But I saw another meme the other day that was like, I can fix him, says a girl who's worse.
Yeah, that part, yeah, absolutely.
So
it's actually, it's amazing to me, like how influential, as you're saying, that Stardew Valley has been. Like at the last, I don't know, it was like probably last E3-esque thing. There were so many like Stardew Valley like clones, kind of like offshoots coming out with like dating mechanics.
Yeah,
you could just every other trailer was like, that's basically just Stardew, but with this spin. It was really interesting to see. I feel like a lot of like the dating mechanics in games, in terms of like, we like to put a queer spin on things here, obviously, because we're gaming mag. In terms of like exploring same-sex relationships, you got to give it to The Sims as well. The Sims like being a little bit groundbreaking out there and being like, yo, you can get these Sims together. It doesn't really matter like what gender they are. You can like just literally have them out there. I'm not really sure what the dating mechanics are in The Sims. I'm not sure if it's a good example of actual dating mechanics, but in terms of being like a game that kind of like set the course for like queer relationships in games, I definitely think that was very, very helpful.
Just really quick, want to mention, chat says they can hardly hear Vanna, but I'll follow up on the Sims question while you're doing that. I haven't played a ton of Sims, but from what I've seen of it, I watch a lot of people play it, and it seems like super real life, because it's like they go on dates with each other, and then there's like a hit or miss, like, do they like each other? So this one could say something and it's funny, this one's offended by it, or vice versa, or this one tries to do something romantic but it's creepy. I think that's like a really cool it's more realistic feeling than most. Like in Stardew Valley, it's you can give them a gift and they don't like it and their heart values go down, but it doesn't feel like there's a random factor to Stardew, and it feels like there's kind of a little bit of a random factor in Sims, which is more like real life, really.
Okay. Yeah, I think the thing with Sims though is that like you can grind it and fall in love with someone in like a single day. Like you can speed run a romance if you wanted to. And I definitely have in the past. And that's something that I feel like is a detriment, but also a boon depending on how you want to play the game, I think it would be, you would have to try to have a slow burn in Sims.
So, okay, in terms of like, this was a hard question for me to answer in terms of like dating mechanics, because I'm not really a fan of dating sims in general. I just don't play them. Just I kind of avoid them. Not intentionally. It's just not something that comes onto my radar. I think it might be because like I'm Demi personally, so it's like I don't really. That probably explains why I like a slow burn relationship that people get to know each other first. Actually, thinking about that,
Demi is like you. What is Demi again?
It means that I'm not really like into just like chasing people. I kind of want to get like a relationship, get to know somebody first, and then like
before there's a romance or sexual side to it. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, like dating sims have always been like tick these boxes and then like win the prize, essentially. And like I would prefer like games to have more of like hidden relationship mechanics. I know that there's something like in the original Final Fantasy VII that was really cute, that you ended up on a date at the Gold Saucer with like any of your party at the time, depending on how you've interacted with them throughout the game. But it doesn't say, okay, this is going to lead to something. It's like, if you're like nicer to this specific character, all of a sudden, now you get to go on a date with them. They're the one who turns up in the middle of the night to go on the date with you. I think there's something similar in Remake as well. There's like a garden scene, and whoever turns up at that like garden scene at night is whoever you've got the most like romantic kind of like relationship you've kind of said the nicest things towards during the game. I'm not sure if you can end up with Barrett in that scenario because I haven't tried to do that, but I really want to try to do that now. Well, you can end up with Barrett in the original game on a date. Yeah, which is
I bet it's in the remake then.
Which is really cool. I hope
it's a date in the game.
Yeah, you totally. So there's a place called the Gold Saucer, which is like a giant like casino essentially, and you get stuck there for a night, and you're just like walking around, and because you can't sleep, and then somebody from your party will turn up and like, let's go do stuff and go on the rides together and things, and it's whoever I think like if you've completely balanced yourselves out between Aerith and Tifa, you'll end up going on a date with Barrett instead, because it's like you don't really like either of these girls more, so go ahead. There's Barrett for you, and like hijinks ensue.
I love Barrett. That's who I would want to go on a date with.
Yes, he's a very good father. Like I love him to death. Yes. Oh my God. Well, you know what? Let's move on to another question then. Who is your like all-time favorite video game crushes? If we're gonna talk about like anybody from Final Fantasy VII, you say Tifa. I also say Tifa. A lot of people say Aerith. I say Tifa because she is independent. She owns her own establishment, and she kicks all kinds of ass.
Oh, she's a bad bitch for real. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
I love her. And I think she's so sweet. She's just so nice.
Yeah, she's incredibly nice. She's like caring. She's kind of like motherly as well. She takes
like
care of Marlene too.
She knows how to dress.
I've been going on at Ty here to play Final Fantasy VII for so long at this point. And she still hasn't, and that pains me.
But I'm not gonna lie, like Final Fantasy games, JRPGs in general are very grindy, and I have extreme ADHD and cannot focus that long on one thing. Like, I get bored after about 2 or 3 weeks of a video game unless it's something sandboxy, and I really can't explain that, but it's just what it is.
No, that's super valid. I think that's a pretty common experience, to be honest. Like, I really have to enjoy a game to be on it longer than a day sometimes,
There are so many unfinished games that I've started streaming, and it's just like, no, I'm never finishing this because something else just comes along and grabs my attention. Ooh, shiny. I'll play that instead. Yeah. So, video game crushes. What are yours? What are your video game crushes?
Let me draw everyone's attention to the remake of Spyro.
No, wait, hold on a second.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Do we have a name?
No, because it's like half the dragon designs in there are just like mega daddies. Like they're just so hot. And I was playing that game whenever it came out, the remaster. And I would have to stop like every 5 minutes and like catch my breath because I was like, oh my God, who is he? Because you know how every time he unlocks a dragon statue, like an actual dragon, the redesign on those dragons is deliberately targeted to turn people into scalies, and I don't know
honestly
what else to tell you. Like, Google it.
I can see what you mean.
Wait, give me a character name. I gotta
just Google Spyro remake dragons. It'll give you a whole.
I got this. Where is it? Is it this? Yeah. Okay.
There's
now
one that's
everybody
like an artist.
Can see.
There's one that's like a barista. There's one that's like a painter. They all have like.
That you hear my favorite video game crush, and this is the first place.
Are you looking at the same dragon I'm looking at, Shady Lady?
I'm looking at the dragons, and they're like Pixar with the first personality in their faces. I can see it, but it's also like, all right,
no, I mean, listen, you don't have to like what I like. I respect that, but I am correct in this being my.
I guess for me, like I've never really been super into like the big Bara style. I'm more into like the slinky little femboys.
That's what they are. So. That is what they are. So that's fair. That's absolutely fair. They're all barrel chested and like muscly and ready to like make you a cookie.
Okay,
that's sweet.
All right, Who else? And what's on your list then, Ty?
Unfortunately, I'm gonna say Zidane. He was my very first video game crush. It was like right around the era where I was like really starting to get into anime and video games. And so it was like Gohan from Dragon Ball Z. Only when he's Super Saiyan 2, and once he turns into Saiyaman, he's out. And
you're not attracted
to be fair,
Saiyaman.
No, absolutely not. Saiyaman ruined it all. Yamcha, okay, all right.
Yamcha. Oh my god, can we talk about the Yamcha Tien ship? Because that is my favorite ship.
I love Yamcha and Tien
in existence. Oh, it's so cute. Sorry.
Continue. No, it's very, very
I've talked at length about Zidane, but he's a very like specific archetype of characters that I like. Well, first of all, the look I like, and then Kuja in the game too. Kuja was the first time I saw a character where I go, what am I? So Zidane is very like he's very femboy to me, but he's still masked. Kuja was a question mark. It was like Tilda Swinton in Constantine when she played Gabriel the Angel, and it's very like androgynous. Could be either that, and so like David Bowie as the Goblin King in the Labyrinth, like these like very what's the word I'm looking for? Fluid feeling characters. That was the first time where I was like, hold on, what am I? My first time I questioned and was confused about my sexuality. And so I like very androgynous characters. And so I tend to like very femboy, but unfortunately, like the type of characters the type of people I should say I'm usually into are not usually into me. So it's unfortunate in that regard, but yeah, Zidane is a good one. He's this archetype that's like, it's kind of the fuckboy energy, but if you think like Duo Maxwell from Gundam Wing, Koga, specifically Koga from Inuyasha is another character that's like, I think Duke Devlin from Yu-Gi-Oh is another type of this archetype that I like. It's like a really rough and tumble, lots of jokes, kind of like an asshole, but really not an asshole, like sweetheart, but they're
like Wolfwood from Vash the Stampede.
Yeah, and actually I guess like now that you say the word wolf, like they've got kind of like wolfish feeling, like archetypal energy to him. I like foxy type of energy too. So like Fox McCloud.
You have a crush on Fox?
Oh wait, Robin Hood, the Fox Robin Hood.
You did not make fun of me for like
I wasn't making fun of you.
From the Spyro movie.
I was being cautiously curious about it. I was like, wait, muscly dragons? No, and like the fox from the stupid from what's the one with the fox and the bunny, and it's a Pixar movie.
Zootopia.
I love foxes. Like foxy like type of characters. So the Robin Hood fox, like all like, and then even like there was another one with George Clooney as a fox, The Amazing Mr. Fox. No, yeah, fox dudes are
yeah. No, I feel you. Okay. I feel you.
I will say there was definitely in recent years, let's say, one of my personal faves has got to be Link specifically from Breath of the Wild.
I love Link in Breath of the Wild, yes.
If only because you can pop Link in the Gerudo outfit and just appreciates
the femboy energy.
Absolutely. Cosign, retweet, upvote. Absolutely.
I love him so much. Just the fact that game like plays with gender in that way, kind of like that. It's just like he's the strong, silent type. He's not afraid of his like feminine side. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done, but he's also extremely protective. Like, I absolutely adore that. And I would go on a date with him any day of the week. Yeah. And so, I love him. I love him to death. He's great.
I feel like we can't talk about characters we're attracted to without talking about Hades.
I was wondering if Hades was going to come up because I feel like this is like the like hot character game,
because that is like the bisexual wonderland.
It is wall to wall hot characters in that game.
I have like a huge print of Megara over here, but I'm also super attracted to Zagreus, and I love the Zagreus and Thanos ship. Huge fan of that.
Oh my goodness.
I haven't played Hades, but I have had the Hades soundtrack on loop for about 2 months straight because it's one of the best video game soundtracks. Anybody in chat got recommendations of anything like that genre of music that I could replace it, but I haven't played it yet. I got it on the Steam sale a month or two ago. But I'm not really like a roguelike person. So
okay, I am not either. And I am able to get into this game. Okay. I think give it a try. I think the story is rich enough. The characters are hot enough. And the gameplay is snappy enough that it's a little bit more approachable than I think some other roguelikes out there.
Yeah. Plus there's apparently there's romance options in this game too. Like you can get to know people and form relationships with them. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Indeed.
You have the sexual encounters. With some of these individuals.
Wow.
That's and again, every design is just like it has you sweating. The gameplay might have you sweating, but the designs have you sweating as well. Oh my goodness.
In constant panic. Goodness. Oh yeah, Megra's voice acting alone, even without the character design is
I unfortunately must bring up Farah from Overwatch.
Oh, we're going to talk Overwatch?
Yeah, there's so many characters. I was like, Farah, there's Sombra.
Is Zara the one I'm thinking of?
And
just like big,
oh
beefy
my God,
lesbian?
yes, Zarya. Because she's also like really like soft and sweet. So she's got that like dragon, that Spyro dragon arc, big and buff, but they'll bake you a cookie. Yeah, it's got that kind of energy.
May.
I was going to say May.
So sweet.
Sombra,
little cupcake.
Farah, I think, is just like because she's got that androgynous feel to her.
What's her name? Say it one time.
Farah. She's the
how do you spell that?
Pharah. She's the one that rockets into the sky.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And she's specifically she's got a sporty basketball skin that's you can see her little abs going on, and it's it's pretty poggers.
Pretty poggers.
But I also really like Soldier 76, who's kind of like a normie, but there's something because he's got the cool dad energy. They've even given him skins where he's got the grill master and stuff. So he's this gruff soldier, and he's been in it, and he's weathered, and he's hard to approach, but he's also just sweet and wants to take care of the team, but wants to take care of you specifically. In my fan fictions. Okay. I'm just kidding. I've never written an Overwatch fan fiction yet.
This is the worst quality picture, and I'm sorry for the audio listeners out there, but this is Grillmaster Soldier 76.
Yeah, that's a dad. He's got socks and sandals.
This is literally, they just really embrace the dad energy of Soldier, because it didn't start out like that, but everyone started calling him Dad 76 after a while.
Oh my God.
And then the behind the scenes team just kind of rolled with it.
No, I'm definitely into just a wide dad.
There's something about
wider the dad,
energy, yeah.
Not whiter, but wider widthwise.
Big daddies, yeah.
Big daddies, yeah.
Big daddies.
Speaking of Big Daddy, how about Big Daddy from that game?
BioShock.
BioShock. I don't know that there's a person
robots.
even in there.
No, it's just a big robot.
You don't love that huge suit of metal with the drill. Come on.
Do?
Okay, wait. If we're going off on weird shit, then how about Pyramid Head?
Oh my God.
But why is his butt so good?
To be fair, you know what? That Pyramid Head works though.
When I said punch me in the face and call me stupid, just literally skin me.
Literally decapitate me, skin my body, and throw me on the floor. I love you so much.
Well, let's get even really weirder then. What about Nemesis from Resident Evil 3? No, I'm kidding on that one. That would be horrifying.
He's got built-in whips, yeah.
He does have built-in whips. What dem whips do?
What do whips do? Okay, hear me out. Freddy Fish.
Freddy Fish. Wait, who's Freddy
Is it
Fish?
a literal fish? I don't know about all this.
It was a click and point game when I was
Freddy Fish. I'm looking this
hear me
up.
Out. Putt.
Putt. You're saying a bunch of stuff that I have no reference to, but I can see Freddy Fish, and you know what?
Hear me out. Bowser.
Okay, but Bowser for real.
Bowser,
though.
No, that's actually really valid.
The dragons from the Spyro remaster.
I'm a hypocrite. What can I say? I'm a hypocrite.
Confused. They're the same.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I shouldn't have Googled sexy Bowser. I don't know why I did that.
You are going to get just porn, actually.
Yeah.
Mostly, yeah, actually. I can't show that on Twitch.
Look, the Bowser X Luigi stuff that's going around has been some of the greatest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'm into it. I ship it.
Valentine's Day is here, and Adam Mail have got you covered now and all year round. Adam Mail are an award-winning provider of sexual health products who offer discreet packaging, 24/7 customer service, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee with 90-day no-hassle returns. For many people, sexual health is an important part of life, and around Valentine's Day, the best gift that you can get is to show your loved ones just how much you care about them. But what we love most is that Adam Mail donate 20% of their profits to help fight the spread of HIV around the world. So a purchase from Adam Mail not only makes you and your loved ones happy, you're also doing some global good too. Head to adammail.com and use code GAYMING for 50% off one item and free shipping in the US. Again, that's adammail.com and code GAYMING. That's GAYMING. Some items may not be eligible for the full discount. Now, back to the podcast. Whew. Okay, well, we certainly learned a lot about each other.
Yeah, nice to meet you, everybody.
There. But you know what, Vana, it's actually time for your spotlight. So we're going to get to know you a little bit more.
I think you've known the most intimate parts of me already, but let's go ahead.
That's okay. That's okay. This is where we get down and dirty with even more info. So.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So I'm going to start where I start with everybody. During my research, usually what I do is I use certain websites to go back and try and figure out when people started streaming.
Oh.
With you, it was difficult because you were before the cutoff of that site started tracking data. So I have no idea when and how you started streaming, and I would love to hear about that.
I've been streaming for 8 years. Over 8 years. I think my anniversary is in October. So last October was 8 years. And not all of that has been like full time or anything. Like I started off super casual 8 years ago. And then I've been full time for 4 or 5 years, which is wild to consider. Yeah, that's wild.
Wow. Yeah. That's so long. And like, how do you feel like the streaming has changed? Is it gotten easier for you or
no.
like
much harder? I mean, I guess in terms of like mechanically, I know the ins and outs. I mean, I still mess it up on the daily, but you know, starting from a point where it was like, not only was I new to it, but there was way less resources 8 years ago. And also like the community was very cagey. Like, I feel like the community now is much more like open to sharing information and helping each other out and a rising tide. But back then, I don't know if it was like in general or like the part of Twitch that I had some sort of connection with, but it was just like, it didn't feel like anybody wanted to help anybody. You know, at least not me.
Yeah,
lots of gatekeeping for sure.
Yeah. So I think now, as in terms of that, it is much easier that I have the knowledge to just like do what I got to do to push the stream live. But it is the career, I guess, is much more saturated. So it's like it's just hard. It's harder to get viewers. It's harder to get followers. It's harder to maintain CCV. Like it's definitely like a struggle. Like where I'm at, like just based on numbers alone is much lower than where I was at 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like
really
a lot of people can say the same though. It feels like with the pandemic, it's essentially like watered down the amount of viewers like everybody has access to. You had that boom and then suddenly that boom kind of like has calmed down a bit, and so everybody's like dropped, and it's a little bit scary times.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I still feel like I still look at myself now and feel like I am happy and successful.
Yeah,
but like from
totally.
a solely metric situation, I am performing worse.
We're all performing worse. Don't you worry. But let's focus on your stream. I'm always impressed by the production values of your streams, just in general, like some of the best overlays around. I absolutely love them. I love the cozy vibes, some of the chaoticness that makes its way into your streams at times. But I wanted to talk TTRPG because I feel like a lot of your content can like come back to tabletop role-playing games. So for starters, I want to know how did you get into TTRPG in general? Like,
oh, man. So I think it was high school. I didn't have a lot of friends, and they were all like really nerdy boys, and we were all very straight edge on accident. Like not like we're straight edge to make a point. Like we were just like not cool.
Okay.
and so we were just getting into other things to keep ourselves busy because I grew up in a semi-small town. And one of the boys I was friends with was like, hey, why don't you come to my D&D group this weekend? And we met at this local comic shop. And they would play for like, anywhere between 4 and 7 hours.
Wow.
But they'd only meet, once a week, but they just go all day. So everybody would get like a whole pizza and a whole 2-liter, and then we just like hammer out 7 hours of D&D for, I think it was 3.5 back then. But it was so funny because it was like me and my friend who were like, I guess probably 15 or 16, right? And then all the other players were like in their 30s or 40s. And it was I don't remember anything untoward happening. I'm sure something happened.
Different times back then.
Right. Yeah. Well, and because I was also the only girl there. So I imagine there was something that I've blocked out in that thing. But after high school, in college, I didn't have a lot of people to play with. I didn't have anyone to play with. So I, incidentally took an extended hiatus from tabletop RPGs up until I moved to Los Angeles in 2016. And then when I moved out to LA, I didn't have any friends, and I didn't have a job, and I didn't have a place to live. Like I just went out there with nothing for some reason. With
a hope and a dream.
From Kansas. It was very stereotypical, honestly. I got off a bus or something, and was just like, welcome to my new life.
Wow.
But so I was just like trolling Facebook pages and like Craigslist and like everywhere I could to just like not only try and find a job, but try and find a way to connect with people, like make friends and find a community in Los Angeles since I didn't have one. And one of the calls that I answered was from Saving Throw Show, another Twitch channel that is very near and dear to my heart, also on YouTube. And they were just like, had to put out a call that was like, and I think it was like on LA Actors Network kind of website or Facebook page. And they were looking for someone who had experience with tabletop RPGs, but also had experience with live streaming and improvisation. And that was like, those are all my boxes. Those are all my main things. So I was like, bam, yeah, I'll do it. And so I went for like basically a tryout where I just sat in on a singular episode. And then from there, they would see like if I was a good fit or not. And then I just never left. Like they were like, well, just come back next week and we'll keep it going. And then I was just like on that show for that show on that day of the week for like the next 2 or 3 years. And then from that, I got so many opportunities, very, very luckily and very grateful to work with like, to work with Geek and Sundry, and when they had their alpha offsite program, and D&D Beyond, and et cetera, et cetera. I've all those sort of like, I can trace the line of like from Saving Throw to to the person I met on Saving Throw who's from here, and then yeah. So
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned there, obviously, that you have like obviously improvisational skills. I actually read, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, that you have over 10 years of improv skills and like 8 years of stand-up. Is that How do you feel like that certainly helps when it comes to being a content creator on Twitch and in general, and like how have you applied that to what you do?
Yeah, I think that's why I was so drawn to streaming, is because I had already been doing improv for quite a while by then. And it's something that I really love, but it's also something like you need a group of people together to do it. You need to perform it anyway. Not to do it, I guess, but to perform it, which is part of the fun for me is performing for an audience and making people laugh. And, you need a place to perform it. And so Twitch kind of felt like to me, like suddenly I could do improv by myself with nothing and go nowhere.
Oh my goodness.
So it just like, it went from like, I think I had a steady performance weekly at that point, but then it was like, I could do it every night if I wanted to, and that was really fun and exciting to me. And I think it does really help with Twitch, because Twitch feels so much more approachable to me since I have those skills than like, I've tried to do YouTube content a couple times and I can't. I'm just like, it's just a completely different ball game, especially if you're like scripting things or editing really heavily.
Totally.
And it just that the skill sets I've gotten from improv and comedy like have no application basically.
Yeah.
Like
live content, hell yeah. Scripted content, not so much.
Hard.
Like,
I mean, super mega power to the people that do it. Like I'm so impressed always.
I think a lot about improv when I think of Twitch, because I specifically when my head started thinking around how improv skills would be useful for streaming was when I kind of compared the Twitch chat to a stand-up comedian being heckled, and how the comedian handles a heckler,
crowd work,
and how a streamer handles a troll in the chat. Like if you can banter and play off of it, everyone in the chat is cheering. But if you get like red-faced and angry, get him out of here, you're ruining my show, then it's really embarrassing and cringy for everybody.
Some people are into that, right?
Well, I mean, I guess that could be part of your character too. It depends,
right.
but
sure.
I guess it's does it like that would certainly not be in my character. That would certainly not be. I feel like most of ours here, like if we start getting sweaty and salty, and then 30 minutes turns into just ranting about people ruining your stand-up.
I get embarrassed. Yeah,
it gives you secondhand embarrassment. Yeah.
Or even if like I think I've only gotten angry a couple times on stream, I think, which is pretty good considering 8 years.
Yeah.
But I'm always so embarrassed afterwards. I'm just like, oh, guy, why did I let that
delete the VOD, like, delete the VOD,
Yeah, seriously. I think I usually did or something. It was just like, no one can know that I have feelings.
Yeah, I've definitely had my moments like that as well. But in terms of like circling back onto TTRPG, I know you've done a lot of DMing, and I kind of want to like talk about that in general. How do you go about like creating stories on your worlds?
I am really player focused. So sort of my ultimate goal with GMing is that the people at my table feel safe and comfortable. Number 2, that they have fun and they're engaged with the story. And then number 3, that it's like a good show if it's a live stream, And I think that's generally called like a spiral campaign, when you plan you get all the characters, you get their backstories, and then from there you kind of start to create a narrative so that you can really easily weave in. It's almost like a braid, like you're taking this character's backstory and then, okay, what do I kind of want to do that feeds into that, and then pulling it over and then taking another person's backstory. And then, at the end you've got this beautiful fishtail,
See, that's so interesting to me, because I was always under the assumption that like you just start from scratch and build a world and then drop characters into it, but that makes so much more sense.
That is definitely a style, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just not the way that feels best to me, just because I'm really player focused, and it's much less about the story that I want to tell and more about the story that we can tell together. Okay. And I think if you plan everything out to a T before you even plop the players in, whether you're intending to or not, you're restricting some of their own contributions to that story or to that world.
Interesting.
But I do love to start with a little bit of a structure though. So I've historically used pre-written modules and pre-written adventures. Or pre-written settings. So right now my main campaign is higher education, and we're using the Strixhaven setting, which is the like mage school. But we're not using the module or adventure in the book at all. So just using that setting and some of like the NPCs that are involved. And I think it's just nice to have starting point, just like a landing space that you can kick off from helps me a lot. Because I think with too much option, I get really intimidated and I wouldn't know where to start, So
Absolutely.
Between that and the sort of weaving in whatever my characters are wanting to play. And usually in session 0-2, I ask like, what kind of story do you want to tell? And what kind of themes are you looking to explore? And do we want it to be really battle heavy or no battles at all, or really roleplay heavy, or like an even mix, or like a 730, So setting those guidelines and again, establishing them with the players and not just on my own, I think is much more beneficial to how I want to play the game.
I think that's incredible. That's crafted with the wants and needs of the players in mind first, rather than being, okay, is this gonna make like a good show or anything like that? I'm assuming like if the players are just having fun, then it's just gonna come through in the experience for everyone.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
I'm just really lucky to get to play with so many just like brilliant and skilled and talented people that it's just like every session I'm inspired by my players, that it's like they introduce something in or out of character that hadn't occurred to me, or I hadn't fully fleshed out or whatever. And then I'm like, I can just tease that out. And it's like I get gifts every day, and I kind of get to open them and place them where I like. But I really enjoy the collaborative nature of storytelling in that
That's
regard.
interesting as well, because I'm not sure if I'm just like projecting, but I feel like a lot of your campaigns like feature like queerness in general or have queer themes. Is that something that is intentional on your part? Do you just think it just happens because you happen to be queer yourself? And is it important to you that your campaigns like feature like queer stories? Or
I think it's maybe not queerness is the focus, but diversity.
Diversity,
No, you're right.
That makes more sense.
All my players are queer. It just so happens that way. But yeah, I think when I'm putting on, especially like a broadcasted program, one of the main things I'm thinking of from a producer standpoint, not a GM standpoint, but a producer standpoint, is representation. And it's like we have plenty of fudging.
No, that's fine.
Like milquetoast, 5 cishet white dudes at a table, making their ding dong jokes while they play their little horny dwarf. We get it. Like we've been there, we've done that. Like that's not the stories I want to hear, or that's not the stories I want to uplift at this point in time. Like I want to uplift the stories and experiences and perspectives of people that do not have the same level or size of platform as cishet white dudes have in not only the content creation space, but in the tabletop RPG space as well. And I mean, in general.
Totally.
So, and I think it just so happens that it's like there was a lot of queerness, and it's so funny you mentioned that too, because it's like I'm very confident that the only reason that I connected with my queerness in the way I did is because of tabletop RPGs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because before I was out of the closet, when I was in character, it would not bother me what gender the NPC I was flirting with was, right? Or what they're, who they are, or what anything. Like I was just like, if I thought they were hot, like I'd go for it and we jam, and looking back, I'm like, wow, I was really exploring like what I'm comfortable with. And I think that's a really not an uncommon experience. And Riley Silverman has a really great article. I think it's probably 4 or 5 years old at this point, but really great article about how they discovered their transness through their role-playing experience. And it's really beautiful. And I don't know, I think it's just one of those things where you get to be whoever you want, and your subconscious kind of takes the wheel a little bit. And it's like, actually, here's who you really want to be. Like, here's who you actually are. And I'm just going to project that onto this tiefling.
So really I don't know if y'all are like witchy minded at all, but there's in like the witchy sphere that I'm in, there's something called shadow work, which is where you're working on your shadow, or you're becoming aware of your repressed subconscious desires and needs and whatever, and trying to work with them so they don't accidentally take control of your life and cause you to do, wacky stuff. But listening to you talk about that right now, I'm like, hold on, D&D is shadow work? Question mark? Like,
I think that is super valid. I think yeah. Maybe not to everybody, but
I love that though. Like you get to be a part of yourself that you're kind of afraid to show in your real life, and you get to experiment with it and kind of try it on and see how you like behaving like that. And maybe those characteristics will start to become a little more present in your daily life, because you get to be confident in expressing it, because it's just role play. It's not really me. It's this character. It's not really me. It's this character. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's also how I came to to sort of embrace more of my gender fluidity too, is like after hitting that point of like kind of exploring my queerness in that regard, then I was like, I just like started either playing just like exclusively boys, or any femmes that I played were always parading as men.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm sure that has nothing to do with it. I'm sure it has nothing to do with anything. And that's just made me much more comfortable with like myself, and like why I now feel much more comfortable representing myself as more masculine. Whereas like 2-3 years ago, like I wouldn't go on, I wouldn't go on stream without a full face of makeup and long hair and, and, a cheeky smile in my going live pic, like it just felt like femininity was
the call out on me. Hold on.
Sorry.
I got a lot to think about.
Okay. So yeah, bring this back to the professional side of things in your career. Obviously, you mentioned that you worked with a lot of different organizations, whether it's like Gen Con, Wizards of the Coast, Geek and Sundry, Save and Throw, as you said. And obviously that means like countless campaigns, whether you're a GM or a player. What are some of the moments that are memorable to you? Is there anything that you remember fondly? Is there any stories that like live inside your heart?
It's like bottomless, to be honest. And there's a lot of bad times too. There's like a lot of bad memories too, which I think just to mention that, to say that it's like not to present like sort of that Instagram picture perfect life, but there's definitely ups and downs with it. And I think the introduction of safety tools into my life was like into my life in relation to tabletop RPGs was like a total game changer. And I realized like, no, I get to be like, feel safe and comfortable and taken care of while I explore these things and tell these stories. But one of my favorite games to run is called Good Society, and it's a Jane Austen inspired tabletop RPG that's very like role play focused. And I love it so much. And I ran my first campaign of it. And I think it was one of like my first longer term GMing projects too. So I was like really worried. But at the end of a mini series, there was just the most like picture perfect moment between two of my players. And they'd kind of had this, I guess getting back on theme to today, they'd sort of had a touch and go romance and like, will they, won't they? And, of different stations. And one of them had like left this event in the rain, and the other had like run after them, and they had this like perfect magical kiss in the rain, and I lost it. I was sobbing. So shout out to Abria Iyengar and Nega Oryx, because it was just like one of those moments where I had to like, it was like watching a movie, it's just so interesting how things can build up when you're just pulling like in such a narratively powerful way, when at the end of the day, you're just pulling it all out of your ass, like we're all pulling it out of our asses and shoving it together.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it was just so poignant and beautiful, and I could like see it and feel it, and I'm like getting goosebumps now thinking about it. Like it was so beautiful. So I think that's when I think about a lot. But I would say like endless things. I think especially if you play with more than just like your set group of people. You know what I mean? I feel like, especially with home games, I think it's easy for people to be like, these are my closest friends and I will just keep playing with them. But it's like, then you kind of rid yourself on the opportunity to get these other perspective and these other insights and these other methods of like role playing and gamifying and the stories you're never going to hear, because whether we're intending to or not, like we are pulling from our lived experience when we are telling those stories in a tabletop RPG in one way or another. And it was just so beautiful. I might have still been in the closet then. I can't remember. But it was a kiss between two women characters, and I just like, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I just lost it.
So it sounds like the gaming space was a really big helper for you to kind of like understand your sexuality and be confident to like leave the closet, as you said.
Yeah, I think specifically tabletop RPGs, and then honestly, getting sober.
Look,
I've been sober for 2 years in March.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Nice.
So I think those were the two big things, was just like being able to have a safe space to explore my sexual and gender identities, and also just like having the clarity of mind to allow myself to question those explorations. That was sort of the 1-2 punch, I think.
Great. That's honestly inspiring and kind of fantastic to hear, honestly. We always kind of like wrap up these questions with generally, obviously, your experience as a content creator, as obviously a queer person. There's going to be a lot of queer people like listening and watching that aren't necessarily into content creation, that they've maybe not started themselves. So if you had any advice that you could give to somebody who is part of the LGBTQI plus community wanting to get into streaming or content creation or improv or even tabletop RPG, what would that be? What would that advice be?
Well, with content creation, I think my number one would be just be gentle with yourself. So much of it, almost, I would say 99.9% of it is out of your control. You know, people who have made it big, it's because they are good at what they do and they put on a good show, but it also is a healthy mix of right place, right time, lightning in a bottle kind of shit. And if you're constantly holding yourself to that standard, you're going to be so unhappy and it's going to be so hard to move forward. So just be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, show yourself grace. And it's cheesy as heck, but just focus on what makes you happy and that you have fun with. Cause I genuinely think that's what people are drawn to. Like if you are enjoying yourself, that reverberates through your content and can be felt and picked up and appreciated by your audience. For tabletop stuff or improv, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Improv, you can literally type in your city and then type improv class or improv meetup or just your city and improv. Something will come up. Like if there's like a local theater, I'm sure there's something. If there's a local group, you know, and just, you know, push yourself out of your comfort zone to, especially I think with the pandemic, it's so hard. I mean, it was already hard.
Yeah.
But it's even harder to like kind of put yourself out there, at least for me, you know.
It sucks because I had joined an improv class like late 2019.
No.
Yeah. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, but
yeah, I know some went online for a little bit.
Oh, I never but there's something about the physical exchange of energy that really makes
you're
improv,
right.
You know, like
if you have to though, I don't think online is a bad choice, but
true.
I do agree that it's like part of improv is kind of sharing that energy and a big part of improv is being able to, especially once you've worked together with a group for a while, is being able to sort of anticipate each other's next move.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do through a screen and also just through like the inevitable delay between.
It was really like, I felt really cringy the first time I did with the improv class and I like wasn't that funny and because it was I have really bad stage fright in person. That's why streaming works so well for me. But I love performing. But the first couple of times I did it, it was like sweaty and, you know, like stuttering and stumbling over the words. But the more stupid you get out of the way at the beginning, the less embarrassed you are by being stupid going forward, or like not funny or whatever it is. And then eventually the stage fright starts to subside, and then the good moments start to come out. So I don't know, it makes me think of Adventure Time with Jake the dog. Like the first step to being really good at something is sucking at something. So
yes, I love that so much. No, that's 100% cosign, retweet, upvote. And then also it's just exposure therapy, like that's like a legitimate way to get over a fear. It's just little by little, introduce it to yourself and introduce yourself to it, and it's probably going to suck for a while, but it's not going to suck forever. And I think it's the same with tabletop RPGs. It's like, it is more accessible than ever to find via online channels to find a game to be a part of. There are whole sites dedicated to it. There are forums. You can put together your own campaign and do a call for players. You can do that I've done it on social media before. I mean, obviously be safe and vet people and allow yourself to exit if it's unsafe or uncomfortable. But it's like you can just do it. You can just do it. Like, just be like, look for a listing of someone who's looking for players, apply, start your own game, put a call out for players. Like, you can do it. And then a lot of, if you have local like game stores, a lot of local game stores have like a dedicated night for like D&D or like newbies to D&D or open campaigns or things like that. Or they have a sign up sheet for like local games that are looking for players. Like, you just got to do it. You just got to do it, and then trust your gut with it. If it feels bad, it's bad, because again, like I said earlier, like tabletop RPG community is not perfect by any means, and it's not inherently safe by any means. So, do put yourself out there, but also, be mindful of how things feel. And, if you're in a position to do so, encourage the groups you're a part of to use safety tools and, I don't know, take care of yourself first and foremost.
Yeah. And I'm assuming like if a situation is going south, it is fine to remove yourself from that group. Leave.
Just leave. Yeah. You don't need to compromise your boundaries or feelings of safety and security for anyone.
Great.
And that includes with even if it's just a game, because people use that as a cover a lot. It's like, no, bro, you just like triggered the shit out of me. Like, it's not just a game.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody like gaslight you about that shit, because even if it's just a game, character bleed is real, and also people can go into a game with nefarious intent on hurting you as a person, or unintentionally doing so and being unapologetic about it. So
So earlier you mentioned, sorry, that was very heavy right at the end there. So let's pivot a little bit.
I just want to make sure people.
You got to make sure people are safe.
I think it's
like anything else.
Yeah, it's good to hear though, and I think that it's worth warning people about, especially people that are new into the field. Just the first people you fall in with don't have to be the people you're in with forever.
Absolutely. And that's speaking from experience too, where I've had incredibly triggering situations happen in game, and then having to process those, for months or years, and okay, it's just a game, but it's like, if it's affecting you that way, it's affecting you that way. Like, and that's super incredibly valid. And if people can't respect that, then they don't respect you.
And it's very easy for new people into the field to, like, you're kind of desperate for a space to fit into. And so you won't think it's okay, or you won't have the power or the internal strength or whatever to remove yourself from the situation. I think it's really important for people to know that if you're like, listen to your gut, if you're feeling bad, if every time you walk away, you're just like wanting to like dry sob or like dry sob, then it's not the right spot. And it's okay for you to back out of it and look for more and learn from it. And then here comes some more shadow work out of it too. So like,
claim your agency. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So moving on to more positive campaigns. Obviously, we mentioned higher education. Yeah. That is your current campaign. That is unfortunately almost at its end. I think you just did the penultimate.
Yeah, our finale's next week. I'm so excited.
Yeah. you obviously mentioned a little bit about that before. Can you tell us any more on that? Or
I would love to. Thank you. Higher Education is our weekly 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons game. It is set in the Strixhaven universe, which is a WotC published mage school setting in the universe of Arcavios, and it's super cool. And our campaign specifically, I wanted to do we wanted to do magic school, but everyone's adults. So we're specifically choosing to do like grad students or like extended studies students. So they're all like at minimum like over 21, and that way we can, because I think that my most uncomfortable thing with like playing, because there are a few like Wizarding School tabletop RPGs out there, and they're great, but I personally am uncomfortable playing like a child. And especially if there's going to be like romantic things, or if there's going to be like innuendo, like I'm like, I don't want to be a child. Like I feel
it's very restrictive as well, like in terms of the comfort level you can get out.
And it's like I want to explore adult themes because I'm an adult. And I want to I want to have silly, sexy, fun times with my friends. So that is why we chose to make sure everybody was a full-blown adult for our campaign, and that way we're able to sort of work with much more like intense themes, and also sort of explore sexuality a bit more without having that sort of like icky feeling of like, oh, these are underage people, So that's something I really like about our campaign. And then my players are incredible. Like I know I was kind of referencing this earlier, but they're just all such incredible role players. They're such giving people in general, and just brilliant storytellers. And it's a pleasure to get to sort of weave that story and that world with them. And like I said, they give me gifts every session, even between sessions sometimes. So I'm really excited about it. Our final episode is I think we're going to do an extra hour, so it'll be a 4-hour session. Wow. And it's going to be at a ball, which I think everybody loves a good like ball episode. We're just like, it starts off and everybody's looking fabulous, and the champagne's flowing and the lights are glittering, and then just everything falls apart.
Hijinks ensue, chaos. Yes,
absolutely. Everything's gonna fall apart in the most beautiful, nasty, disgusting, meaningful way. And I can't wait.
That sounds amazing. Do not miss out on that if you are listening now. When is that on? When is that?
Saturday at 2 p.m. ET, because we're going to start an hour early. What's the date on Saturday? The 18th.
The 18th.
Saturday,
18th.
February 18th at 2 p.m. ET at twitch.tv/Vana. VA. VANA.
Okay, so after the higher education is done, is there anything else coming up in 2023 that you're really excited for, or anything you've got planned, like stuff that you're sitting on? I know you're twiddling your fingers there, like deviously. You have something up your sleeve, no doubt. Can you reveal anything to us? Or
I don't. No NDA stuff, that's for sure. Okay. All pure machinations. But I have this wild idea right now. I was like having a depression spell earlier this month, and I just started, for some reason, I'll just like binge a random show if I'm like in that headspace. And for some reason, I started the first season of Love Island Australia.
Hold on.
I don't know why. Really? But I just like, picked a streaming service, picked a show, and I'm now like obsessed with the idea of hacking Good Society, the Jane Austen RPG I was telling you about earlier, to be a Love Island tabletop RPG. Cute. And then having like friends on to play characters, and like, the goal, right, is to fall in love. But of course, there's going to be like endless drama. And then you introduce challenges. And then in the Jane Austen one, you have like a letter writing segment, right? So I was thinking, instead of writing letters, we have like the confession room. And then you can like, one of the mechanics would be like pull people for a one-on-one. things like that. And then there's, of course, like the recoupling ceremony where, you know, the order is random of who gets to pick first. So you never know if someone's going to upset the balance. And like, I'm really obsessed. I already wanted to run Good Society between the first and second season of Higher Education. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, maybe I should just do this hack and get it out of my system.
Honestly, it sounds like a very, very exciting spin on the system. I'd love to.
I'm
check
probably
it out.
too excited about it because it feels very niche.
I mean, that's how you know it's going to be good though. If you're that excited about it, it's going to be absolutely.
I just love drama. I just love drama and love, and also deception, and also
dramas
and dragons and hot barrel-chested dragons.
There's got to be. You got to promise that now. There's got to be somewhere in there. There's got to be a hot barrel-chested dragon.
Well, I was thinking, you know, you kind of cross it over with any general high fantasy tabletop RPG, and then anybody, like, it would be total, like, screw just having it be humans. Bring a dragonborn in, bring a tiefling in. Like, yeah, you're an elf. Guess what?
Mm-hmm. That's fun.
You're like a super sexy elf. Welcome to Love Island.
I love that. Okay, well, this has been fantastic, but we're not quite done. We always end up the podcast with what we like to call quick fire questions. We're going to fire off some questions to you.
Oh, God.
Ty, do you have your questions in front of you?
What question?
Okay, you don't. Okay, if you want to open up the script and scroll down to the quickfire section, the stuff in green is yours.
Oh, I found him. Okay, I found him.
All right.
Was that the first quickfire question? Do you have those questions up? Yeah.
Quickfire question.
I failed.
All right. So, Ty is going to start us off. Basically, this is all stream of consciousness, just first thing that comes to your mind.
I'm so scared.
What's your favorite game from this last year?
Oh, God. Wait, is it 2023 or
over the last 365 days?
Over the last, yeah. So you can include all of 2022 if you like.
Oh, this is supposed to be quick fire? I'm a streamer. I play so many games. It's not fair.
What's the first thing that came to your head?
What pops into mind?
Well, I'm thinking Fire Emblem Engage, but I just started that.
You know what? We'll take that for now. We can always circle back. Okay. What was the one game that defined your childhood?
Oh, man. It's weirdly enough, I always forget the name of it, but you play like a possum in a knight outfit. Is it called like Starker?
Are you sure this wasn't a fever dream that you were having? Or a possum in a knight outfit?
Googling it has not helped.
Okay.
I think it's called like Starker or someone in chat knows, right?
Maybe chat can help with that one. A possum in a knight outfit. If any of our listeners at home know the answer to what that game is, please write in. Sparkster.
I was pretty close.
Sparkster.
Oh my God. It was just so fun, and it was just so weird. And niche. Like, what other game do you get to play a possum night?
That's a good question.
In a night outfit, yeah.
So
all of my special interests coming together.
Who is your all-time favorite video game character? Immediate.
These are hard. What's happening? You should have did you send these to me beforehand? Was I supposed to look at these? All-time favorite video game character. I don't know. Can I pass?
You can pass. We can circle back and be like, what game do you most want a sequel to?
Oh, man. These are so... Do people do well at this?
Usually.
Oh, God!
Not to put any more pressure on you.
What game do I want a sequel to? I feel like all the games I want a sequel to already have one or have one impending.
Oh, cool. Well, what is the sequel that's impending that you wanted for a while and now it's coming?
Well, now I've forgotten that too, haven't I?
Oh, okay.
Slime Rancher 2 was really... It's not totally out yet. It's in like beta or something.
That counts.
All of it that I could, and I really enjoyed it.
That totally counts.
Okay, cool.
Who would be your dream stream guest?
Alive or dead?
Alive or dead? Oh, man.
Or like you could say, who would you want to play like a role-playing game with as well? You know, like...
Oh, that's even harder. I like currently have been listening to the new Lizzo album on repeat. And I just think she such positive energy, and she's I think
that's a great
Lizzo.
answer.
Oh yeah. What game are you most looking forward to coming out this year? Not Slime Rancher 2.
God, I just watched the Nintendo Direct too. I'm really stoked on that Fire Emblem Engage DLC, but I think it's already out at this recording. Oh gosh, I mean, I feel like it's super obvious, but Breath of the Wild.
I was going to say that. I was like,
I feel like I shouldn't be able to answer that, but
Tears of the Kingdom, let's go. Heck yeah, that's valid.
Absolutely.
Oh, me. What one word sums up your Twitch streams? One word.
Oh, why did I almost say corny?
Okay, there you go.
You know what? Stream of consciousness. That's the first thing that came up. Let's go. Your favorite character you've made for a campaign?
Oh man, I think I got to give a shout out to Addie Bamyar, who is the character that I think I started exploring my sexual and gender identity with. So she was a pirate with two blunderby, if you will, and she was based on Anne Bonny, I think, who was an actual pirate in real life that was gay and cross-dressed as a man so that she could work on a pirate ship, because they generally thought women were bad luck on pirate ships. So she just did a bunch of bad shit and then was dating this pirate king, but then this other cross-dressing pirate lady came along and they fell in love.
That's dope.
So she's all based on that, and I was like, I think she's helped me a lot. Also, my first camp, she had a baby during the campaign.
Oh, really?
And that was like something I'd never seen before. It started as like a joke because she had a sexual tryst with one of the other player characters, and jokingly, I think we rolled a dice to see if she was pregnant, and she was. And then we just had to roll with that.
Heck yeah. All right. Funnily enough, you mentioned pirates and sailing, because the next question is about...
If you were marooned on an island, what 3 games would you want to have with you?
They can have internet.
Goodness.
So you can play online with other people. You just can't call for help.
That's so funny. Can I use the in-game VoIP?
Sure, but
Not
you just
to
can't
call for help, but yeah.
You can use the in-game VoIP. Yeah.
Okay, then I would probably bring RimWorld and Fortnite so I could play with my friends.
Fortnite.
And gosh, what else? The third one. Yeah, I guess Fire Emblem Engage right now.
Okay, cool.
I want to finish it.
Again, valid.
But would you be happy if you're stuck on the island for like years? Would you be happy 3 years from now with Fire Emblem?
Probably not. Well, I don't know. What's the playtime? What's the average playtime? I could probably romance everybody by the end of that span.
That's true.
No, but I think RimWorld would get me through the thick of it, because you can play that for an infinite amount of hours. And then I just, play Fire Emblem if I wanted some JRPG goodness,
Heck
some tactics.
All right, this is the last quick fire question. You're allowed to take as much time as you like on this one. It's, where can people find your content and what have you got coming up on your channel?
Thank God. You freaked me out, Mia. You can
I intend to every time.
It's super effective. You can find me at twitch.tv/Vana. That's VANA. And you can find me on most socials at Havanarama, HAVANARAMA. My big thing right now is tune in for the finale of Higher Education on the 18th at 2 p.m. on my channel. And keep an eye out for the Love Island tabletop RPG I'm going to hack. I don't know. We'll see if I actually do it. And then I think that's all I got going on.
More
Twitter's
Fire Emblem. More Fire Emblem Engage. There we go.
I also checked out a bunch of games during Next Fest, so I'm excited for a lot of those to come to fruition. and I'll be because I love indies and stuff like that. So yeah. That's what I got.
Yeah. And of course, my lovely co-host, Ty, where can people find your content and what have you got coming up? You're muted.
Oh, cringe.
Once again.
Sorry, I try to keep my I've been eating chocolate the whole stream, so I'm trying to keep my little wrapper noises to themselves. But I'm at Heyshadylady on everything. Twitch, YouTube. I got a website, heyshadylady.com. I blog there. So yeah, I do a lot of sandbox games. That's a lie. I'm playing Final Fantasy 11 right now. I'm still in my old monologue mode. But it's lots of Final Fantasy 11 right now, with some Red Dead 2. So it's a little different than what I was playing last year, but I'm also about to bring some tarot back to my channel. I was a big tarot streamer the last couple of years and I burnt out on it really hard. So I'm starting to get the itch again. So tarot, I've got my witchy podcast too, Celestial Cafe, where we talk about the full moon and astrology and all kinds of stuff like that. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that, real variety. I get bored with things if I do the same thing for too long. So
heck yeah, fantastic. Well, I want to thank you both for joining me and everybody else for joining us today. A massive thank you to you all. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Gayming Podcast Live. We'll be back in 2 weeks for a roundtable episode of the podcast where we'll be talking about the importance of diversity in video games. In the meantime, you can follow the Gayming Mag channel here on Twitch or subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of these amazing shows. And of course, podcasts can be listened back at any time on all major podcast platforms. And if you hit listening there now on those platforms, come on over to Twitch to watch us live every Sunday at 9 p.m. GMT on twitch.tv/Gayming Mag. Now, we have Let's Go Gaming in about a week's time. And then obviously in 2 weeks, we've got the podcast again. So whatever Sunday you decide to tune in on, there's always going to be something happening here on the Gayming Mag Twitch channel. Until then, do not forget to keep reading and watching Gayming Magazine. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.